So to carve the outside, I'm just going to take my weights and my wire out, and I put a bit of scrap piece of paper down, and what I'm going to do is use a bit of spray mount. This is 3M spray mount, which is a temporary adhesive, and just give it a quick spray over one side. You don't need a huge amount. Give it a minute just to get tacky, and then push the pieces together, lining up your dots. There you go. You just need to leave that a few minutes just to get some strength. This is the third worksheet, and I'm just going to check the dimension again on there, just to check. There we go. 93 against 93, spot on. It's just a case of cutting these out, and these are going to form templates for us to carve and shape to. So these are my two paper templates that I'm going to carve to, and I've got some shaping tools, which are just basically blocks of wood with sandpaper on. This is P100 and P300. The important thing about these blocks is the sides are square to the base, and the table I'm working on is flat, so when I sand I'm transferring a 90-degree angle to my piece. This is also another block which is for side up, but again 90 degrees, so when I use this one for doing taller pieces, which has got the same type of sandpaper on, I'm transferring 90 degrees angle to my piece. What I'm going to do first is square the back edges up. These are the edges that I cut with the mortise gauge, so just to square them up is just basically rub them with some sandpaper. So I'm going to take the smaller of the template, the thinner one, and stick it to the bottom, and I've used again a bit of spray mount adhesive. It's just important with this that you get the line down the centre lined up with your joint. If not, you'll end up with the layer a little larger on one side. Okay, so that's stuck down. Just check that the joints, you could do with a bit of adjustment there. And so that's about spot on. I'm going to take my knife and just slice to the lines basically. I'm going to leave a bit of space. I'm not cutting dead on the line. And you can see from the cuts that I'm wandering off, I'm wandering out actually, which is a good thing. And then what I'm going to do is square up them cuts using this, the 100. So I'll just sand to the line basically. So what that should mean is this is again square on the ends. Just check it over, see if anything's a bit larger, or check the ends. That end's a bit fatter one side. And the front's not so bad. I think that's pretty spot on, to be honest. So now I'm just going to take the finer side and just finish it up, just smooth it off basically. It doesn't need a lot. Okay, so this is my second template, and I'm going to start at the back and just wrap that over one side. And again, cut. I'm just going to cut just a little over the line. First taking off some bulk and then coming in for finer cuts. And then again, what I'm going to do is take my smaller block and sand it to the line. And finish off with downhill strokes. When you're getting near the end, turn over and use your 300 side. And then just that bit on the front. Just pull my blade back a bit. I'm actually going to cut away at an angle there, just gently. Finish that with the fine. So that's the basic shaping done. So to get from my roughed out shape to the rounded, almost finished layer, I'm going to use a combination of carving and sanding. First off, I'm going to make a sanding block, and I've taken some of this 22 by quarter that I cut out for the layer, about 2 inches long, and I've made a smaller strip thinner, which is about 5mm thinner, and I'm going to make this sanding block out of this using a bit of super glue. I've made a mark there 2mm in. See if I can do this without just gently. Just going to stick that on there. Do the next. And stand it up. Oop. Just stick it together like a sandwich. And then maybe square the back up. Square the front up. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do to this is actually make an impression of the shape that I want to finish. It's a bit hard to explain, I suppose. But this is approximately 1mm wider than this. And I'm going to copy this into here. And how I'm going to do that is with a bit of sandpaper wrapped. So I've got two sides. I've got a side which is a bit deeper, and obviously the shallow side. I'm just going to pull this tightly with sandpaper and just rub. And there we go. I'm left with an impression of this shape. It's about half the depth. The other side I'm going to do the same, and this is going to be a bit shallower. Probably about a third of the depth. There we go. Lastly, I'm just going to round these sharp corners off. Okay. Take my bit of sandpaper. Just make it slightly longer, and obviously slightly wider. Favourite adhesive. Push that in for a minute there. Let's do the other side. There we go. So I'm going to put my little sanding block to one side and start really with the carving. And all I'm going to do with this is, because I'm mainly going to sand, is just remove the edges at about 45-degree angle to the edge. And this is just to get rid of the bulk before I start sanding. I'm letting the knife kind of do the work, I'm not giving it too much pressure. If the knife's sharp, it should just really cut through like butter. Again, carving downhill, I was to try and carve it the other way, I'd just get caught in the grain and the knife would go everywhere, so just round the bend, carve round the bend down as opposed to up. Let's just do the underside. So I mean, if you're handy with a knife, you can get it almost to just off where you need to be with your sander. It's up to you. If you're not and you're not that confident, then stick with the sanding paper. But I'm just going to trim a bit more, just so I'm starting to get it near to a circle. Let's see. Not the greatest carver in the world. And then I'm going to take my block and start shaping it with the block. And again, downhill. With the block you need to kind of move it and roll it around. It's not just a case of making a straight sweep. Angle it. Change it around the other way. Just check where you're at. That's not too bad. And try and do it evenly, so the same kind of strokes each side. There we go. Still a bit flat on top. Let's maybe see it, put more pressure on there. Let's do the underside. So tilt it. You can see where it's still flat on top, that it needs more taking off. as you're doing it, gently rock it from side to side, don't just rub. And that's starting to get there. So what you'll find now is that this is obviously should be a smaller size, so a tighter radius than this at the front. So if you take your shallow side and just gently work round, it should just start to naturally smooth that out and give you a radius, a tighter radius. Just check it with your eye to see you're not rubbing on one side a bit more. And again on the underside, gently. And the back. Yeah, I'm basically happy with that. I'll sand it a bit later with some finer, the 300 gauge, but at the moment it's looking pretty well shaped. And importantly, there's still this flat area here in the middle, which we need for squaring up when I'm cutting from a lip. So yeah, there we go. It's a